Next, I would like to invite up Rob Kinslow, Executive Coordinator for the Steering Committee of the Hawaii Interfaith Power and Light.
It's a nice day here today. Thanks for coming out. And thanks for smiling and really caring about the earth. As Stuart said, I belong to the Hawaii Interfaith Power and Light, and our mission is to help churches become more energy efficient, to help you set up a green team in your church. How many of you belong to a church out there? Okay, so a significant portion of the population, in fact, 85% of the population belong to a church. So since churches are in the business of creating value and changing behavior, why not use churches to create value and green behavior? So that's why we're here, and that's what my passion is, and I think it's the best social network that I've ever seen in all of my years of activism. In the wake of Earth Day and World Environment Day, and with the disastrous oil spill in the Gulf, it's not a bad time to review some basic stats on the impacts of fossil fuel use and revisit what we can do about it on our home turf. The average American has an annual footprint of over 28 tons of carbon dioxide, of which 15% comes from driving, 15% from powering our homes, and the remaining from producing the goods and services that we enjoy every day. In America, our footprint is over twice that of Europeans and 5 times that of a Chinese human. Do you think that wasting and consuming more than anyone else on the planet is an expression of our morality? I do, and I hope you do too. So it's a moral choice, something we need to take into account in our heart of hearts as opposed to just in our minds. Do you think that being addicted to fossil fuel that funnels $7 billion out of our islands every year is wasteful? Do you think our children, our keiki, will look back on our actions and thank us for being so wasteful? If ever there was a moral dilemma, we are living in such times. We all share a spiritual responsibility as stewards of creation to preserve life for future generations. It's a spiritual responsibility. It's a heart responsibility. It's not a mind responsibility entirely. It's a heart responsibility. It's passion. That's why all of you are here, is because of your passion, because of what you care about. That logically belongs in the heart. And that's where my energy and my passion comes from, and I know that's where your energy and passion comes from. The oceans, our islands, our people, our spiritual heritages are all connected. In the Gulf, liquid carbon deposited millions of years ago by processes that cleaned our Earth's atmosphere of chemicals harmful to humans is gushing into our oceans and onto our wetlands and coral reefs, threatening our people, their livelihoods, all ocean life, and our children's health. And that's one main passion that's mine, is the children of the future. They have no voice. We are their voice. You are their voice. And we must speak loudly and firmly and clearly to everyone that the children of the future matter, that the invisible becomes visible. I call upon all of Hawaii's faith groups to educate themselves and their members about waste reduction and pollution. At Hawaii Interfaith Power and Light, we encourage energy conservation and efficiency within Hawaii's faith communities. This single teachable moment today, with the oil gushing into the Gulf to the tune of 20,000 barrels per day, this teachable moment, as others have said, can bring about new legislation, new behavior, and new values within our society, within our nation. Stewardship and reverence for creation are central tenets of all faiths. Doesn't matter which faith you belong to, it's all faiths on earth. Science and religion are aligned in their advocacy for protecting the natural world. Science and religion, well, who does that leave out? Well, we see that business is coming along, but we don't see our politicians really coming along. We see some of them coming along, we see some of them speaking out, doing the best they can, but we need all of our politicians to give up the politics of business as usual, to give up the politics of special interest, and to align themselves with their hearts and their children's hearts in order to bring about a more sustainable future. So, Since scientists and religious leaders are in agreement on the issue of stewardship and businesses coming on board, we plead with politicians to lead by example, to lead with green, to learn about caring for creation, to learn how to make holistic decisions based not in greed or special interest, but in alignment with the principles of resilience and sustainability, and to learn that the central design principle of the future must be what's good for all of the future's children. What's good for our children? Imagine that. In this spirit, our business community and all people of Earth must accept the reality of where we are and step forward into the future with hope, with passion, with loving kindness in their hearts, and with being able to express clearly and completely that our children's future is that most important heart of hearts, most important thing that we must express in the going forward. I often like to quote Paul Hawken, who wrote a book called Blessed Unrest, because I really don't like to talk about problems too much, because when I facilitate sustainability talks, I find that people end up talking about the problems 90% of the time, and as a facilitator, I have to steer them back to or talking about the solution sets. And so Paul Hawken talks about the problems and the solutions. He says, at present, we are stealing the future, selling it in the At present, we are stealing the future, selling it in the present, and calling it gross domestic product. We can just as easily have an economy that is based on healing the future instead of stealing the future. We can either create assets for the future or take the assets of the future. One is called restoration, and the other is called exploitation. Thank you.
Thank you, Rob.